Just in general, what were some of your biggest takeaways after watching the film from that first preseason game? Just some of your general thoughts.
I thought we did some things well. We rebounded the ball. We got to the free throw line. We did not turn the ball over a lot after the first 7 or 8 minutes of the game. Those were all really good things. We still were, I think, a little late on some helps. Our closeouts defensively need to improve. And our offensive organization and spacing still needs to get better. But overall, for a first preseason game, after a long time off, not having that month leading into training camp, a week of practice, I thought it was a pretty good performance.
Scott Kushner from NOLA.com. This was your first game kind of in a COVID environment with no people in the stands and just whatever. How did that kind of play out for you? Was it any different at all? Like, was the communication different? Was the feeling of it different? I know NBA preseason isn't exactly the hype fest that, a playoff game is, but was it still kind of an odd thing to go through?
Yeah, it sure was. For a couple of things. I think number one, trying to communicate with your team, your point guard on things is really hard. They can't read your lips. So you've got to be really good and get a real good understanding of your visuals, what you want to do on those things. And then the thing that I really struggled with is I like to talk to the players on my bench. If something happens on the court, I like to turn around to them and make a point of, hey, that's what we want to do, or, oh, we can't do that, or, whatever it may be. And I can't even find them in this whole thing, the way we're spread out on the bench. I had a hard time finding guys to sub them into the game. So it was strange, really, really strange. And it is, I'm sure, for everybody. A lot of the coaches who were in the bubble are at least used to it. But for me, it was really, really different.
Hey, Coach, Caroline here from Pelicans.com. You were talking a little bit about rotations on help side and that you wanted to improve on that. Is there anything else defensively other than rotations that you'd like to see this team improve on from preseason game 1 to 2?
Oh, yeah, everything. But communication's another really big one, Caroline. I mean, we're still not doing a great job communicating what we want defensively. So that's got to really, really pick up as we go forward. And then all the, a lot of little things, our pick and roll defense, all of that's got to get better. But the communication will help in all of those other areas.
Hey, Coach, it's Andrew from ESPN. With the vaccines now rolling out nationwide now, obviously they've hit New Orleans as well. Does the team have a plan on how you guys will do, or is it just going to be you'll get it when you get access to it, or is there anything that you guys have lined up right there?
I really don't know what the plan is. I'm sure the NBA is going to have a protocol and some guidelines on what goes on. And I think everybody's cognizant of fitting into the overall scheme of distribution of the vaccines, that we're in our rightful place, wherever that is, that we get them. I don't think it's going to be a willy-nilly approach where I'm running out to get a vaccine and then 2 weeks later, Brandon Ingram's running out to get a vaccine. I'm sure we will have a plan in place, but I'm not aware of what that is. And, at this point, from my understanding, we're basically vaccinating, healthcare workers, and then it'll go to the most at-risk people in our society, and then we'll see where we all fall in line after that.
Thanks, Coach.
Stan and Scott again from NOLA.com. You mentioned it a little bit there to Caroline about the defensive communication. Is there anyone in particular who you feel like either one has the ability and just doesn't kind of feel you feel like they're like just not quite breaking into that role, or do you feel like there's somebody that should be taking kind of control of that situation? I mean, on your best teams, who is typically was it one person typically leading the charge defensively communicating, or does it need to be kind of a group-wide effort?
Well, we've got a couple of really good communicators. Josh Hart's an excellent communicator. JJ's an excellent communicator. Sindarius Thornwell is a pretty good communicator. I have found that when you really get good defensively, it's your bigs, your centers who can play a huge role in that, because generally they're the ones who can see the action and direct traffic. If they are great communicators, then I think your team has a chance to be really, really good defensively. I had a great communicator in Orlando with Dwight Howard, really smart defender, obviously an outstanding defender and a great communicator. And I think that really, really helped our teams. Our guys are all working at it. I have no doubts that we'll get there. But we're talking about, our priorities in terms of what we need to work on. That's certainly a big one.
All
Thanks,
right.
Steve.
Thank you very much, Coach.
All right. Are we doing that here now?
We're going to go in your office.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We should have Lonzo in a second. If you want to start raising your hands, so we can get going right when he shows up. All right, everybody. We'll get started with Lonzo. And Jim, you can start us off.
Thanks, Chris. Zoe, you guys had a really good performance defensively Monday. What were some of the things that you liked the most about what you guys did at the end of the floor? And what did you think of the communication defensively?
I think it got better as the game went on. Guys were giving effort. Obviously, we're just trying to learn a new defense this year, and it starts with effort. And then second thing is talking. I think we did a lot better than we've been doing in the past, and I think that's the first two things that jumped out to me.
What's up, Zoe? This is Will Guillory with The Athletic. I know Coach said Eric Bledsoe got back to practice today, and you guys just haven't been able to get on the court together as much. So I guess what are you able to do to try to figure out just how to fit together when you're not able to just have that time on the court together?
I mean, it's going to take time. Two different players coming together is always going to, need that practice time, and then obviously need the game time. So we're just happy to have them back and, try to get things going as fast as possible.
Hey, Lonzo, this is Christian Clark. First quarter, the other night, you guys had, I think, 5 turnovers. The rest of the way, only 6. Just what do you think was working and why you guys, were able to keep the turnovers down for the last 3 quarters?
I think that second group, when they came in, they got things more organized, and then we kind of picked it up from there. B.I. got going in that second, and we didn't look back after that. I think once guys slowed down and got organized, that was really all that we needed to do. Once we got into our spots and took care of the ball, the rest of it was pretty good for us.
So it's Andrew from ESPN. You mentioned Brandon there. What did you think about the job that he did on the defensive end and the intensity that he kind of showed? I know he's been talking about, becoming more of a force on that side. What did you think of his defensive efforts?
Yeah, I know he really wants to focus on that, especially this year. He's been bringing it in practice, and that kind of just translated to the game. You can definitely tell that the effort's there, and he wants to be a great defender this year.
Hey, Zoe, it's Caroline with Pelicans.com. So Coach was talking about speaking through the mask and how that was, he had some difficulty talking through the mask to you guys. Have you talked to him at all about developing hand signals or anything like that? Or is it just going to be, kind of up to you to read the defense and do whatever you want as a point guard?
He gives me a lot of freedom to call whatever I want, but we definitely have, hand signals for the plays and stuff. You kind of have to have that, like you said, with the mask. You can't really see what he's saying or hear it too well if you're, on the other side of the court. So we're trying to put in all those hand signals for all the plays and stuff and just be on the same page.
So this is Will again. Coach has complimented you a few times during training camp for the way you've been communicating in practice, especially on defense. Why do you think that's been important for you this year to speak up a little bit more and just be more vocal on the court on both ends?
I know in my exit meeting last year, that was one of the strong points they wanted me to work on this year. So me being a point guard, the leader on the floor, just got to make sure everybody's in their right spot and just do as much communication as I can, to help guys get to where they need to be. And that's pretty much my job.
Hey, Christian Clark here again. You just mentioned that you get a lot of freedom to call your own plays. What is your sense of, how often you guys are calling like scripted plays on every possession this year as opposed to last year? Is there a difference?
I think this year is a lot more structure. Guys have to be in their spots. Instead of we had a lot of free will last year. I think this year we still have. We can still do our own thing and stuff, but it's a lot more structured. And as long as you're in your spot, then you have freedom to play.
All right. Thank you, Lonzo.
Appreciate it.
And Steven Adams will be next.
bubble question. It does affect it means that you could hear each other a lot clearer, but it also means you can get in trouble a lot easier because the coaches can hear you too. So if you don't speak, they know. You know what I mean? So it's a double-edged blade there, mate. You're asking why we played. They scored 39 points in the second half. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it was, well, as the game progresses, you kind of get used to each other's plays and whatnot. There's that natural thing. But I think the second unit, even in the first half, man, they came in and really set the tone in terms of rotations, and they were really trusting the system. Because it is a different system for, all the players here. And so the biggest thing is just trusting that although it's like a lot of it's just counterintuitive, man. You know what I mean? We just got to learn new habits. I feel like we're getting better as the game went on with that sort of stuff. And you'll probably see we'll continue to progress the more games we play. And then it'll be a lot smoother, right? There was a lot of plays that we didn't get stopped, but they didn't manage to score, right? There's a lot of those plays. It doesn't mean we play good defense or anything. You kind of measure it on how well you executed and communicated in that play. And then even if they made it, you can still tick your box that you played really good defense in that one, right? So it's a bit of that, mate. Bit of this, bit of that. Words. English.
Hey, Stephen, Christian Clark here at Noel.com. I know Stan has placed a pretty big emphasis on just taking care of the basketball. I think you guys had 6 turnovers the last 3 quarters. What allowed you guys to, I guess, cut down on those turnovers as the game went on?
I think most of it was so like with turnovers, you have to. There's obviously turnovers that are going to happen in the game because a lot of our players, they're trying to make the right play, and you have to be risky at some point. But to help it, each player has to be very aggressive with each of their cuts to get open, or with their drives or whatever it is, just so then it can move the defense, and that will allow much more like crisp, clean passing lanes. You know what I mean? So I thought we were a bit stagnant in the first half. Especially the first quarter, and then managed to get some movement back and forth. And then I think the boys ended up getting good rhythm in terms of just rotations and offensively, right? Just getting to their spots to get to the next side, next action, blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff, mate. Right, positive things. Cheers.
So, Stephen, this is Will Guillory from The Athletic. What's it been like so far now that you got that first preseason game out the way, just figuring out how you fit next to Zion, how y'all can work off of each other, and particularly on offense, just finding that spacing so everybody can, succeed?
Yeah, pretty simple, bro. Just get out of his way. Nah, in all seriousness, it is just it's just one of the things that isn't so much like just playing with Zion. It's more about like how we're positioning ourselves in the system offensively, right? And just not getting in each other's way. Everyone needs some space, right? So it's just getting to those spots early and then just making the right read, right? And we just got to, the more games we play, right, the chemistry will grow. We were missing 2 players of our own, though. You know what I mean? So we're still going to have to go through the whole get used to playing with each other, where they want the ball, blah, 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 right? So, yeah. Early days, mate. Slow and steady.
Stephen, Scott Kushner with NOLA.com. You mentioned slow and steady, trying to get better day by day. How much progression have you seen in 2 weeks' time or however long you guys have been doing this? Do you notice a pretty long, leap that you guys have taken, or do you feel like there's still way too far to go?
So basically you're saying, have we progressed?
Has the rate of progression been what you would have expected to this point?
It's a tough one, that one. I felt like our progression has been what it was, like what it is, right? I think we're adopting all what Stan's saying really well. You can see a progression in the practices and whatnot, right? So you can measure it off that. But like, again, when you play in the game and you start to get tired and then, they're just running different stuff, that's where it's a different measurement, right? because you actually have to execute what all the theory that we've been trying to learn is, right? So I feel like we've been progressing well. But again, there's nothing really to compare it to just yet. So it wouldn't be fair, to be honest, to say anything. I always kind of relate these things to like watching the grass grow, if you know what I mean? Because you won't see any progress until like you really take a step back from day one. You know what I mean? Like it is one of those joints. It's just like, wow, okay, once you take a step back, then you can really see the bigger picture. But when you're in it, I mean, really hard, mate. I could sit there and make some stuff up for you if you need some stuff to write about if you want. I'll try.
I'll take it.
Hey, Stephen, Christian Clark here one more time. I mean, you've been at this a while. I mean, in your experience, how much does, how a team performs in the preseason matter, compared to how it performs in the regular season? Like, how much does the preseason matter in your experience?
I mean, I think it holds. But, are you just meaning that people don't take it as seriously? Is that what the thing is?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But like, I mean, last year, for example, like I know you weren't a part of the Pelicans, but they're undefeated in the preseason. It just, the preseason seems like in certain instances it's a very different thing. I mean, how much can you take away from the preseason, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those weird ones as well, bro. Like where obviously it doesn't mean anything in terms of like your regular season games or your step towards championship, whatever. But it's more of an internal, your internal goals. That's what your main value is going to be out of these preseason games, right? So it's more of that as opposed to like, oh, we won the game, great. It's more just like, yo, did we execute our stuff, and are we getting in a good like momentum to start the regular season off running? Especially this year, man. I mean, it's so, so good. We really, really need these games. So I mean, I think all the players feel like they shouldn't be taken too lightly. We're not trying to dick around either. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, that's not it. Stan will not allow it.
What's up, Stephen? This is Will again. I know you've been around a lot of young bigs when you were in OKC. So I guess what's it been like just seeing Jackson Hayes every day and what he brings to the team? And what do you tell a guy like that? Because I know he says he's trying to learn from you because you've been in the league for a while. So I guess that experience been like with Jackson?
No, it's good, man. The best thing with dealing with any of young bigs or whatever is just being positive and being coachable, right? The simple as it may seem, you just come in with that mentality every time, and he's got a great attitude, man. Just willing to learn, does all like the hard, like runs his lanes well, and that's all you could ask for, man. And yeah, he's a young big. Obviously, I'll try and pass on whatever I know to him, but yeah, all in all, mate, great big. No negative comments from me, mate.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers. Fare thee well.